So.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jake Quinn. I chair the Buncombe County Board of Elections, and I want to welcome you to this meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Elections, which I am calling to order here Tuesday, August 14th, 2023, in beautiful but steamy Concord, North Carolina. I see three of my board members here, and Mrs. Stein. I do have a quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm standing before you is my board has to review this demonstration today with an eye towards acquiring a couple of DS950s that we want to use in this fall's municipal election. We've got a really tight time frame to get all this stuff done, which is why we're actually having a board meeting today. Then once we all get home from this, we've got to have a simulated election on Thursday. So I'm going to pass this over to our demonstration expert. I thank you for bearing with me. I would normally ask all of my visitors to sign a guest book before they leave the meeting, but I think I will spend that again. Tucker, take yours.
Welcome to Buncombe County, everybody. Don't get us quiet. What's up, saying? Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tucker O'Mell. I'm a sales engineer with Election System Software from Omaha, Nebraska. Don't hold that against me. We're the ones that Matt we're paying now, so you don't have to. Yeah, sorry. That joke, you guys told me not. We're going to start over. I'm going to walk out and come back in. No. All right. So my name is Tucker O'Mell, and again, I'm from ES&S. I am so thankful to our outstanding partners at Printellect here for inviting me out. And my job today is to show you the DS300 polling place scanner and the DS950 central scanner. These are the next generation that fall behind, follow the footsteps of your DS200s and DS950s and 850s, 450s. Should you have those in your counties right now.
And M100s and auto.
And M100s and auto marks, yeah, and Eagles if you're. We
None
actually,
of those.
yeah, we had two counties, we had two small locations, in the northeast that actually used Eagles, not too recently. They finally got rid of those Eagles. Anyway, this is a history lesson. Let's take a look. Let's get started on what we came here to look at. First thing I've noticed is the forwarder forgot to close the door before. Yeah, I need some tape seals and wires. I intend to go the DS300 first. DS300 again is follow up to your DS200. You'll notice first of all, physically, it's a new ballot box. The brand new ballot box. It is smaller. It is less top heavy than the other one. It is all one self-contained. Not you cannot remove the top like the DS200, the gray case that would go on the top. It is one single solid piece. It is on easy roll wheels. It's got push cart, not like you're making a quick trip from Walmart. Like I always grab the smaller cart, and the only cord coming off of this is the power cord. So if you have used a DS200, you can operate this machine right now. You do not need training. You do not need a demonstration, really. You can. It works exactly like a 200 in many of its ways. But it also has been enhanced for speed and to adopt future. The brand new voluntary voting system guidelines 2.0 that the VAC has submitted is compliant with those standards. So let's get started. I'm going to plug the device in, just like the 200. Here a little beep. And the power cord, by the way, let's take a look at the back. Power cord just wraps up kind of like your vacuum cleaner. You know, that wrap right there. Just unwrap it, plug it in, and you're all good. Lid, button. Lid. In about 60 seconds, it will boot up, and I will hit two green buttons on the screen, and I will hold that, just like your DS button. I do have a password I need to put in at some point there. I will tell you that the boot up time is 60 seconds, whereas the DS200 was about 90 seconds, so it's a little bit faster to boot up. We will watch a line go from left to right. Progress bar. Okay, while that's booting up, I'll just point out a few things. New keys. There are new keys for the DS300. There is one that has kind of a black sheep on it. That is for the machine itself. And one that looks very similar without a black sheep. That is for the ballot box itself. Let's talk about the ballot box. It is a little bit shorter, and it still has an auxiliary compartment right here. It still has your main compartment. If you have blue bins, you may know about the blue bin I'm talking about. Those fit in here and are 100% compliant with this ballot box. The physical protection of your ballots in this ballot box, we have tried to take it to the next level. First of all, the locks are hit resistant, meaning there's a spring in there, and my engineering department tells me that this is highly advised to have these quote-unquote hit resistant locks. So when you insert the key, you actually need to push in a little bit and then turn the key, and then you can open the box. You'll notice that the blue bin is in there. That blue bin, same thing. I will also point out that, unfortunately, if you can't see the back, everywhere you would put a wired seal, and there's an opportunity for a wired seal on every compartment, ballot box, and scanner, that the place for that wired seal is actually recessed. It's even recessed up here on the doors where the USB sticks are held. Sometimes during transport, those wire seals get banged off in your moving van. And then you have a numbered seal problem. You have to get a new seal and record all that. Well, this prevents that because it's actually embedded inside of the ballot box itself. So opportunities for wired seals here and there, as well as wire seals up here. I will also point out that the machine itself has kind of a rough plastic to it, but there's also where you would put a tape seal. This is kind of a nice touch. They put a nice smooth surface there. So if you add a numbered tape seal on there as well for double protection, it's easy to remove and doesn't leave much residue. That's a real world thing that happens, you know, when you're deploying these 80 times over the next 12 years. I am now up to the screen where I put a password in. Allow me to do that. After I've entered my election code, it says loading election, please wait. I apologize for the size of this room and we all can't see the screen. I wish you could all see it. But here's the next thing. So that was the printer. The printer is about 10 times faster than the last. Your normal report table print, even if you have a very long one, less than 1, it'll be very, very fast. In fact, most of them take about 10 seconds. Let's go ahead and press our first green button. I'm going to get my zero tape. So that was what, 3 or 4 seconds? That whole thing. If you imagine your report needs to be much longer, but I promise you this is going to be much faster. The printing is still thermal. It's the exact same thermal rolls that you have used in your DS200. So if you have inventory, you don't need to get more. And changing it on the DS300 is exactly the same way. That compartment, you flip open and drop it in a new roll, exactly the same. The compartment on the inside where the USB drive is held is exactly the same. The power button, the close hold button, they look exactly the same. It's just a white piece of plastic. Or gray plastic. Are there any questions so far?
Thermal labor, no ink, no.
That's correct. No ink, no consumables, nothing to change from election to election. All right. I'll also, so now that I'm ready to, I'm gonna hit my last button. So it was lid, green button. Now, as you can see, I have opened the polls are open. We believe you're gonna open these polls pretty quickly with this machine. The 200 wasn't super slow, but I can tell you this 300 with that fast printer is gonna get you up and running as fast as you can possibly do. Okay.
Battery system, in case you go down.
Come again?
Battery system backup.
Yep, has the same internal battery. It's going to last you 2 to 4 hours. Same internal battery, and it's located in the same place. All right. Now, I mentioned earlier about the BBSG 2.0, the brand new voluntary standards adopted by the BAC. There are several things in there that any manufacturer has to do to start to accommodate those new standards. And here are the actions we have taken. First of all, you see this slot right here? Everything I'm about to tell you is not active right now. It is physically compliant with the new standard, but we have to turn it on with the new program. So whenever you're ready to go, wherever we're ready to go with the new standards, we just have to turn on the new program. Meaning, should you adopt this in your county, you will already have a physical device that no changes hardware need to be made at all. It's just an electronic change on the inside and turn on. First one of those is a smart card reader. When opening the polls, you will, in the future, you will need a 2-factor authentication process in order to open the polls. You already know a password, but now you often have a smart card. 2-factor authentication, something to have, something you know, so that your poll sheet will now have a smart card, and that will be part of the poll opening and poll closing process. On the inside of the compartments, hopefully we all know what I'm talking about when I talk about the main USB compartment in here, where your main memory is held, as well as this door back here. If anybody uses the current backup stick functionality, which is a second stick in the back, which is a redundant copy of the first for redundancy. First of all, both these doors have those locks and seal opportunities, but now you can see it. But there's about a 3 millimeter by, let's say 1 centimeter little black box there with a white knob, and basically that is a door. So if anybody physically opens these compartments, it will be logged in the audit log, and it will also emit a beep, so the poll workers know if somebody is trying to mess with them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Further adopting the BBSG guidelines, this new screen is bright and it is high definition, which is another one of the requirements. The fourth requirement that we are extremely proud of, which is not part of the BBSG, is that, has anybody ever seen the scan bars in this, in there and popped open that door and clean the scan bars? I apologize for the beeping that is happening right now, but the scan bars, the cameras that take a picture of the top and back of the bottom of the ballot, they're exactly where they were on the 200, and cleaning them is exactly the same. But now on top is a tiny, without opening up those scan bars, right on top of them, right here is a little green compartment. Just click it open, it's about that big. Just click it open, drop an inkjet cartridge in there and click it down. And every ballot that is scanned through this machine that is tabulated, not anything where it's queried and it's an overvote, you give the ballot back, it will now print a unique serial number on every single ballot. Every single ballot that has gone through this will be marked with a number. That number will be unique. And that number, you have to use your imagination here, is its tax vote record number. In any kind of post-election audit, in the software, you will be able to see a picture of that ballot. And you will also be able to see a report which tells you exactly how that ballot was tabulated. If you have 5,000 ballots scanned, you will have 5,000 ballot images and 5,000 unique reports. They are all tied together by the number that's printed on that ballot. So if you want to perform a risk limiting audit, a post-election risk limiting audit, which is, okay, instead of hand recounting precinct 2 and precinct 99 and hoping those, if I see some malfeasance, I would have caught it if I picked the right 2 elections. In a risk limiting audit, the population of your audit isn't just precinct 2 and precinct 99, if you imagine a stack of ballots. It outside software, not BSNS software, but a third-party tool will say, I want, based on all the things you've told me about your election, I want you to find 55 ballots. It's this number, this number, this number, this number, this number. Those are the numbers. And you can go find them in your ballot boxes and then review the okay, and so your population for your audit is no longer those 2 precincts. But what if somebody in the 54th precinct was your bad apple and did something? They got away with it. If you do a risk limiting audit, you have a chance that some of those ballots are included in your random sample of ballots. I feel like I'm on a soapbox now, like a professor or something like that. But I can tell you that you might catch that. And that's what a risk limiting audit is. And before we all get scared about RLAs, I will tell you that it can end up that you actually have to look at many fewer ballots than a regular audit. I will also point out BSN's official position in that we do not expect, we don't want to act like we're encouraging this for traditional or comparison audits. We just really love audits of any kind. We encourage you to do them. If you want to do a risk limiting audit, we wanted to make a tool that will take you to the future. That's the DSC. Those serial numbers are actually pretty neat. If you have more questions about that, I'd be happy to stick around afterwards. Closing the polls is exactly the same. I guess I haven't run any ballots yet. So I'm just going to randomly grab, I think this is a blank one. Scanning is about the same, about 4 seconds. And it says this is a blank ballot. You get your blank ballot, your overvote warning, just like you are used to on the DS300. And you simply press cast blank ballot. It backed up the ballot 1.5 inches to print the number on, and now it drops into the bin. I'm going to get that ballot out. If I use the right key. There we go. So I'm going to walk around real slowly. See that serial number right there? No other ballot in this election will have that number. It doesn't play with anybody's. Number now. So in this day and age where people are saying, how do I know? How do I know this election was run with integrity? How do I know the ballot box wasn't stuffed? You're using paper. If the poll book says there's 100 sheets, there's 100 sheets down there. Anyone that is counted is going to be clearly marked with one of these numbers. The electronic record of all that is on an encrypted USB drive that never touches a computer that's connected to the outside world. And there I can go down this path many steps. So we're trying to give North Carolina County Customs the ability to prove that this election was run with integrity, to the best of your ability. You can point out that we have a document for every voter. That document has been marked, and kind of an official seal on it. As much as we can, we're trying to arm you with information. I will close the polls here in a moment, but this is a great time to ask questions about the DS3.
Hey, Tucker, while you're got the blue bin out, maybe show them the difference. We have a M100 customer here in Swain County. They're not used to blue bins.
Okay. The blue bin is a box that has bay doors on the top, and the whole idea here is the ballots fall in here, and that while they are leaving the ballot box, it will be locked, it will be sealed. And physically locked with two different keys. If you want two different keys, maybe two different parties lock it, whatever you'd like. It has an opportunity for two different keys, so that this sacred paper in here is physically locked away as quickly as possible with two different people that can swear, that they locked this on the way out the door. There was 100 when they left. There was 100 when they arrived. They've all got numbers on them. They're the exact same numbers that the computer reports. And free the transportation is on this. Okay. Also, if you're in an early voting location or satellite voting and this bin fills up without having to change out tabulators or anything, this is a secure way to get those ballots out of the early voting machine. Put it in a new box and just keep voting. That answer that for you, Owen? Is that what you want to show?
Right, and it's a transport device to take the ballots out to the precinct as well.
Any other questions from audience members this time?
Sorry, you missed it.
I know. I know. What's that? The whole,
Coworkers bring the whole thing in.
71 pounds, 23 pounds, 94 pounds altogether. The whole thing is 94 pounds. You can feel free to come up and push it around and see if it's difficult for you. Yes.
Will the 300 and fit in the?
Yes.
Um,
Will the 300 fit on the DS200 box?
On this box.
I'm gonna, the answer is yes, but I'm gonna verify that just right after we get out and get it up there. But my understanding that there are interchange.
It's like a rail kit or something.
There's a rail kit, yep. In fact, why don't we try it? I think we're done.
a couple more questions. When is the ink cartridge that you use for serial that off the shelf or is that a special?
It is, I believe it's Hewlett Packard inkjet cartridge. It's not specifically made for us. It looks like a little Keurig pod.
And when the serial number is applied to the ballot, if the ballot has to be recounted, does the machine know there's already a serial number on that ballot?
It does not, but if you're gonna do a recount, simply remove the inkjet cartridge and we'll stop it. The activation of printing those numbers, it's not something you need to tell the Friends of Print-Elect beforehand, turn it on or off. The simple insertion of an inkjet cartridge activates. And the removal, yeah. Does that answer that for you? Anything else, folks?
What if you're likely gonna stick with the DS100 but upgrade to the new certified system?
They work hand in hand. The coding that they do is no different. The sticks, where if you ever put a DS200 stick in your computer and look at it, the name of that stick is DS200. It is now simply called pull place. And that stick can go with either device and work just fine. There's no difference. There's no extra coding or no extra work. Great question. So if you want to mix and match inside of your inventory, 100% supported.
Yeah, if I could touch on that, I rolled this DS200 in here just in case. This one has 6300 on it already. And something that we've noticed when selling, especially in cases where there may be mixed, some people are looking at these for early voting sites and still want to hold on to some of their inventory DS200s. You can tell just the form factor, very similar. There's a lot of the VVSU 2.0 and everything that Tucker's already gone over is the reason why this is the future. However, if you could look at where my dad's standing right now and just imagine there's an M100 there. There's still a natural. So the idea of still, rolling this into the precinct is just having it ready to go, not having to have a couple different cases, bunch of wires. It's all encapsulated right here, just as it was in the 200, just as it was in the 100. I think it's a big differentiator that we have here at the SNS.
Did you just call your dad a squeaky metal box?
That he did. And I've called her all of them.
Motherboard is manufactured most likely overseas. I'll be honest with you. If any technology company that operates in a global environment like this, you are participating in a global supply chain. There are parts that cannot be manufactured in the United States and are not. States. The important thing is if you're acquiring parts for your machines, you need to know where they're coming from. You're not just looking for 100 units on eBay or whatever. Our company, and I'm looking right in the eye when I say this, our company takes great pains at traveling overseas, establishing long-term partnership with reputable overseas partners, and we only acquire our parts from them. We have personally visited them, we put through tests, we regularly visit them. We also attend the parts when they arrive inside this country. And final assembly is done on the United States, in the United States, of these machines. I can also tell you, hardware is one thing, okay? And you can do everything you can to make sure that it's as secure as possible, no matter the source. It's the software that's on it. Just like your iPhone is made overseas, and you have everything your whole life's on that phone, right? The software that's on it, every line of code that runs these devices was written in the United States, has never left our borders. The USB drives that reside there are made by an American manufacturer just for us, never leave our borders. And I can tell you our source code that makes up this software, it is reviewed. All like 7 million lines of it is reviewed by the Election Assistance Commission every time we apply for state federal certification. They verify there are no negative things in there. And then they archive it. They keep it. You understand that? What I mean, the source code that makes this software run, makes this run, we don't give it to them and take it back and then we make the change. No, they have it. We don't have it. All right. And we have passed that examination 18 times since 2013. Okay. So when you ask where the motherboard's made, we made overseas. Everything that's on there is reviewed, and also the code that's on there, most important, is reviewed. Yes, sir.
Primary country of origin.
Primary country of origin, likely the Philippines, China, and maybe Thailand, but I'm not sure. There, I would encourage you to go to ESSvote.com, which is our website. There's an FAQ that explains many of these things. And I would encourage you to look at that.
One more question. Does it contain the talent chip on the board?
Pellet,
TLT, 912,
is this some sort of modem or transmission chip? Yeah. These devices, I don't know about the pellet chip, I'm not familiar with that. I can tell you. I can tell you that this device has no modem. You sure that the DS200 has?
The DS2, the DS200 has the capability of having a modem. In North Carolina, it's not allowed. So there are no chips for modeming on the DS200 in North Carolina. I think that's what you're referencing.
Are you willing to pop the top on that?
We did last year for the legislative committee that Keith Kidwell and some others were on. We brought a 200 in and showed them the board with and without the modem to answer that question. I can get you the information on that demonstration. The state board was aware of it. They weren't there, but we did that for them.
Yeah, I hope I'm not making too much work for you, but I know my boss at ES&S has said that some counties that have that fear that there's a modem in there, they'll say, when we install these systems, should one of the counties here did it 300 brand new, and you got 50 of them lined up, pick a few, random, we'll load them up and you can look at it, and then we'll seal them back up, that way it's avoided for you. Sorry, Ellen.
Well, we prefer to let a certified tech
Yeah,
take it apart, let you see it, show them everything, and then we seal it back and just put the seal on it so it doesn't look like it's.
Yeah, it would be a certified technician.
Right, which is what we did.
Great questions. Moving on. Any other questions about the 300 functionality? And if we need to talk afterwards, I'd love to. I will. Yep. All right. So that's the DS300. To seal it up, take your balance out, take the stick, the USB drive, and then get out the door. And there you go. This is going to put on the truck. I will also point out last thing on each side, on this side and on this side, if you need to lift into the truck, there are finger holes here for chain lift. One on each side. Stop beeping. Let's talk about the DS950. This is the DS950 central scanner. ES&S was founded in 1978, and our first device was a central scanner. I don't know how many generations this is, but this is like our 12th generation of central scanner we built, so we have a lot of experience doing this. This is a high-speed central scanner. It will scan 280 ballots a minute. It works exactly like your 450 or your 850 in terms of operation. Raise your hand if you know you have 850 or 450 in your county. Okay, so I see a lot of you. All of you, if you know how to run one, you can walk in and run this right now. All right? The main difference there is in the engineering that we learned from the 850 experience, and we took some steps to address a couple of situations. The first of which is multi-feeds. A multi-feed is when it accidentally grabs two ballots at the same time. You probably all experienced that. Sometimes it's like the last two ballots of the stack because you've got a multi-feed. I guess that's yeah. So a couple things we've taken done. On the input hopper right here, and you can't see it, but about the center of the postage stamp right here is a little rubber pad. It is meant to create friction. That last ballot on the stack, to create a little bit of friction so that it's not grabbed at the same time as the second to last ballot. That is one thing. We have also added a metal strip right here. It's ridged, vertically ridged. That is reduced electrostatic, static electricity. That's what I'm trying to say. It's going to reduce electricity. It makes it easier for the balance to go. It's basically that's not going to do a lot of 5 every second, right? So it's going to reduce that. So we got those two passive things: strip, ridge, strip, as well as the rubber stamp right. But the main thing is electronically right in this area. This little bar right here is the multi-sheet sensor. On the 850, it was here. Now it's here. And so it is going to detect if there are two ballots stuck together through static electricity, or whatever, maybe some gum or something like that. If it senses that, it's going to go right away rather than it's too late. All right. And what happens is you'll notice that if it gets up here and it pulls in two ballots at one time, you'll see it go. It'll try it 3 times to separate before it sends it through. So it will electronically go 1, 2, 3. And if they're still stuck together, it just sends them through and you get the outstack, they both get outstacked together, just like normal. But at this time, this way it's tried 3 times to separate. It does that with these two rollers right here, a top and a bottom. The top roller spins into the machine. The bottom roller spins out. Meaning the top one is trying to grab the top one in, and the bottom roller is trying to spin that other second ballot out. If it senses that multi-feed, it basically the top one stops, and then it does those 3 attempts, trying to separate the two. Top one stops pulling, and all that's active is this bottom one trying to send it back out. Make sense? All right, so we're trying to address that up front. But the next thing we wanted to address was the opportunity for ballot jams. Like ballot jams take a couple of minutes to clear. It's not a whole lot of fun, and that's where you lose your efficiency. Every second this is not running, you are losing 5 ballots because they got the robot, right? Because we counted 5 ballots every second. So after 2 minutes, you're several hundred. The way we address this is, first of all, separating the ballots a little bit more. The DS850 ballots are about 3 inches apart as they go through the ester. Now they're about 5 inches apart. That's why the true speed of this, truly, the 850 did 300 minutes. This one does 280. You're like, well, why is it slow? It's because they're spread out a little bit. But you've got to get greater efficiency. I'm going to tell you how as we move along here. The first thing about ballot jams, though, is they're separated a little bit. We found that allows the first ballot to settle down into its home, nice and easy, before the next one comes through. All right, it's got a little bit of time to get out of the way before this next one comes through and settles it into its home, and so on and so forth. The next thing is, you can barely see it, but there's a big white pad here. It's about that big. And it's a kind of half moon shape that's pointing down. That's right in the middle. So it pushes the ballot down. And then there are 2 tabs that point up towards the ceiling on the outside, which kind of curve the ballot. See that cup that I just did? It kind of, I'm over exaggerating, but it cups it. This is much stronger than just a flat ballot. It can go any which way. So if there is any kind of nick or collision, it's much stronger. It has a chance to force its way through. As I mentioned, those corners are pointing up. So at least we know what the corners are. Many things get attached to that bottom part, but we're just reducing the chance. That's what that curvature does. The third part of this is this gray tab. They're long. There's one in each of the output bin. It is forcing the ballot down. So these ballots are flying in there. You should see this in really slow motion, like football slow mo. It's actually really cool. You see the next outcome, it's curved. and then slap down by that bar. Next one comes in, slap down by the bar. Every single one is taken care of in that fashion. And they get out of it, so the next one doesn't collide. Does this make a little bit of sense, everybody? Make sense? Okay. That's one thing we've done. You can see a little, there's a few small brushes right here, reducing again, static electricity. And if you have a 450, these lights here will be, you'll recognize what these lights are like. But what they are for 850 users, they're brand new. They're called advanced ballot tracking. If you do have a jam, let's say you got a bunch of ballots here, you got ballots all in these. You got ballots in all the output bins or whatever, and one jams, and it is hanging out right in between, right? It's half in, half out. Everyone with me so far? That light will be red. Red indicates if the ballot is in this threshold right here. All right? And it's right here, and basically anything that's in a bin that is green is 100%. All those ballots are where they need to be. They're exactly where they need to be if they've been counted or not counted correctly. Okay. Red indicates everything that's in this bin also 100% counted and belongs there. But the only difference is this one and everything behind it is 100% uncounted. The 850, if that happens, you have to rescan everything. With this one, you salvage, if you run 300 ballots and jams on the number 301, those 300 are counted, and you can put those in your box, and then you're just clearing out everything and getting it pretty back up. Make sense? Clear? Yes, sir.
What happens if it's written as a wrong? Will it tell you?
It'll tell you just like that. It says wrong. Yeah. If that's the case, in that case, well, you will use scan. This is one bit. We're talking about just jams. It is faster internally, it is cleaner internally, and it is easier for ESS and Printellect to service. I can tell you that on the inside. In fact, this mechanism right here is all one block that we can take out and put back in and service it without having to get into nooks and crannies. Also, here's the next part. Has anyone ever had to adjust the tension on your 450 or 850 and turn knobs and whatnot? I see a few smiles and a few nods. This is self-adjusting. Every single time this machine, this tray goes up and down, these adjust themselves to be in perfect tension. I did not believe it when the engineer told me they were doing this, and I felt like, okay, that's a thing to put on a pamphlet, right? But in real world, I have never ever had to ask how the tension is made. And I've probably scanned about 50,000 in my time. You know what? I could talk about it all day. But everybody just wants to see it run. The guide arm is no longer a swing arm, it's vertical and horizontal in and out. You'll notice this gets into position much faster. See that red light? Pointed out the tray, look how much faster they are, and then you're like, why am I talking about that? That takes like 7 seconds on the 850. It takes 1 second now. It's 30 ballots that could have been scanned. Right? It could have been 30 ballots down that path. Anybody who used the 850 saw the difference. I have a few more things to show you. We're getting close to the end here, but are there any questions so far? Just like the DS300, you have an opportunity to put an inkjet cartridge in here. It will also put unique serial numbers on every ballot, meaning that should you adopt this new technology, every ballot, every paper ballot, whether it's a full face ballot, an express vote card, or whatever, can be tagged with the unique number for auto purposes. And here is a new piece of functionality. If you do the upgrade to 6300, here is a new piece of functionality that I think you got like. It's batch management. We've all scanned batches on the 850 and 450. It's every time you run ballots and hit save, boom, that's a batch. That's the way. Next one, save, that's another badge. I have the ability now on the scan screen to hit this little gear icon. It's a gear icon, and it's called batch management. It says, here are all your batches that you've run. I have run batches A3, A4, and A5. Okay? If I later down the road, somebody questioned batch A4, or I question and say, you know what, I think I'd rather rerun that. And the current system is kind of out of luck. On this system, with the upgrade, you can just press A4, press delete, put in your override code, which you know, and that batch is now gone. It is deleted from the records. Electronically, it still exists, but it is no longer used in your reporting. It's no longer, those ballots haven't been scanned. It's time to go get those ballots and rerun. Does that make sense? Am I confusing anybody? Good. You can also, if you deleted a batch and later on, like, I'm gonna bring that one back. A4 is still gonna be there, but it's just gonna say, we'll let it delete it. You can activate that batch, make it current, and save it, and boom, A4 is now back in my place. Okay, so you have the ability to remove batches, to add them back in. I can also reopen batches, meaning if I want to add 5 more ballots to A4, I can make it current, want 5 more ballots to save it, and now it's just got 5 more ballots. And the last thing is, because I know everybody is wanting to go get the first adult beverage of the year. Let's go to scanning here. You'll notice here that I've got my batches. I can also highlight a batch, hit print. And now it'll give me a results pro report of that batch. Meaning either that batch may have had balance of 361, 25, 26, 25, 89. I can hand count that, but I can also have a report now that tells me exactly the result of that batch, regardless of what 360. So we believe fewer problems here, as well as the ability to control batches. We think the 950 is going to set you up for success. And it also works in conjunction with all, if you want to keep your 450s and 850s, no harm done. They absolutely work in the same, they're completely compatible. This is where I pause for questions or thoughts from anyone. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the expected life. The literature says 5 to 7 years. I'm more curious on the number of ballots that we could run through that.
Properly maintained, it will last you that long or long. If somebody comes in and cleans it out once a year or every couple of years, you still need to perform, blow the dust out, clean the wheels. Every once in a while, you have a technician come in and check the tension belts on the inside. If properly maintained, it will absolutely last you for that duration. The wheels, for example, these wheels, I think they last, say about 200,000 or something like that. They're easily just pop off and just pop on a new one. But you can also just clean them with a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, the isopropyl, 90%. Yeah, it's exactly, the service is exactly like the 850. It's just easier for our technicians and yourself to do some things.
Watauga County has a 650 that they installed back in 2006. In North Carolina, the 850s, 650s, and 450s are required to have an annual maintenance. So our technicians come out once a year and work with your staff just to.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
kind of keep them going.
I
think
totally appreciate it. I
yeah.
mean, we've got 850s and they're just getting rickety.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're looking at 950.
Right.
And then I'm wondering how long before we look at 1050.
Yeah.
We would never call it that. We do this. We max out at 3 years.
Well, you're bumping up.
I don't know. I'm not. Good question. Anything else? Yes.
I want to make sure that my colleagues on the Buncombe County Board of Elections, if they have any questions that they ask them and they have an answer.
I would like to answer. Yeah. Should we look at that?
What do you say, colleagues? Four beautiful people, right? Look good? What, any concerns about what you're seeing here? I mean, y'all are more or less familiar with the 850.
Concern is the idea that you can delete. Okay,
Yes.
and that might be good if you are gonna rescan it, but You can't believe it.
Actually, if you can tell us what the audit trail is on that kind of activity.
The system has an internal audit trail and it also can print that audit trail. It 100% every major action taken. Deleting and adding batches is 100% a noteworthy event. That is in the audit trail. It will say batch number A4 deleted, timestamp. You know what I mean? Tell you exactly.
By the person with this password.
There are not unique logins, just like your current system works, there are not unique logins. However, it does track time and date, machine serial number, all of that information is in that log. Also, those that you are concerned about, those maybe some of the batch. Again, that batch is not gone. It is still in the list and simply says deleted. Does that make sense? And so if you are concerned, you can have a post-election requirement that the board needs to walk in and look through that whole list and make sure they're all active and that the final number matches what you report.
What's more, we have cameras on all of our machines when they run. And so if someone went to a machine to do something, the date and timestamp combined with the video that we had captured, would be able to identify whoever that is.
This is a fringe benefit, but I can tell you that the audit logs that all of these keep internally with the new software and the new, North Carolina, what was recently certain, what we're moving towards. All of those audit logs, not only kept on the system, but now they're also, when you bring the results into the reporting software, audit logs come in too. Now they are on your computer and searchable, meaning you're no longer thumbing through paper. You can actually say, show me what happened on Thursday on serial number 535 at between 1 and 1:30 p.m. And they'll show you, here's the 47 thing. That is very valuable. Does that help?
It's actually quieter than me.
It sure is. I don't know if that was.
Yeah, I think it is quieter. It sounds like a jet engine.
You no longer.
It's gonna sound like a bat.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for that. It was just nothing short of that.
You said it was just like a.
And what's not something is that I am on the bus, everybody has on the bus, they use those cameras. Now it's that. And on the other side. So my other question is, what can go wrong here?
Ballot jams, technology can fail.
Did everybody hear that question? What can go wrong here with the 950?
What can go wrong? When you are a technology company, you have to plan for what can go wrong. Because technology can fail. Your iPhone in your pocket, you probably love it, but every once in a while, kind of annoys you, right? It does something you don't want it to do, or it's slow or whatever. So when you build technology, the whole goal is to inform them what happened, inform the user what happened, and inform them how to get back to normal operations, right? So ballot jams can still occur. I'm not saying they're a thing of the past and will never happen, but they can. The key thing is that you notice these 4 ballots that I just wrinkled up in here and they fall out of them. Some folks saw that. Let's see if I can jam it. Okay. We've done our best, but we'll see if we can jam it. If not, I'll just tell you what jam is. So those 4 are right next to each other. That should cause a jam, right? Those are ugly. So I wasn't able to do it. So one thing I'll point out
To that real quick, most of the issues that happen are from ballots where the ballot has been torn at the time mark. And that's the major issue. Of course, the board knows how to handle those, but those seem to be the major issue we run into the high speeds.
So ballot jams are what go well. We try to make it less frequent. If it does happen, the whole point is that you need to tell them what's been counted, and that's on the screen. It'll tell you exactly what these, it'll tell you which bins are good and which aren't. But the lights will also help you. But if it's really torn up in there and it's terrible, the whole point is to give them 100% physical access to the entire ballot pack. So they can get in there and remove, even with tweezers. You can get in there and remove the obstruction. There is not an inch of ballot out there that's been enclosed.
I'm just curious, when it kicked out the fund ballot, top down, does that make the ballot?
This top bin is 100% not counted. It's not like a guest and counted some of them or whatever. If it's in the top bin, universal, anything in the top bin is 100% uncounted. These are ripped, torn, mutilated like this. That's what that means. And the middle bin, by the way, these bins, the big bottom bin is usually 100% counted. Middle bin, 100% counted, but that's why. That's the universal way that some people use that middle bin for other things that they don't care about separating. I almost forgot one last thing. The bottom bin, it senses a bunch of ballots coming in that are all wrinkled and they're taking in more vertical space than they need to. The tray just stops. And it gets all the ballots out of the way, creating a big, large cavern for the next ballots to come in. So that, again, trying to reduce jams. If it senses the jam coming, it says, okay, I got a lot of room now, get in there, next balance. We'll get that. Yeah.
Question one, they have the option to create a serial number with the reader. And also with the scanner. With the scanner, is that in two different locations so that it could have two serial numbers, one on scan, one on read?
It is, but those ballots should not be going through two different machines.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's in a different location. One's in the bottom right corner, one's in the top right. And it is, and there are different kind of numbers. Yep. And if you want to recount on this thing really fast, if that serial number's right there, pivot it a quarter turn, turn it 180 and it's in a different spot. You have plenty of opportunities, again, not to overwrite the original. These are a lot. Yeah, 950 also comes with a new table here that has lockable and sealable doors that during operation. And it has a laser printer here for reports and a uninterruptible power source, a UPS, that will give you 20 minutes. That's what can go wrong, power can go out to the building. And so it automatically transitions to this. This knows it, and it will, even if you're in the middle of a scan, it will finish that scan and say, you are now on battery power. You cannot scan anymore. You have 20 minutes to print some reports and whatever before I shut myself down, which it does in some.
And we'd like to say that somehow comes on phone, right? Your boss wants to.
And this UPS will be very annoying. This is the standard power source that was certified both federally, so we have to provide this exactly.
Just got a question about yes, every ballot is identification. If you want to, so. In this period of election, because you want to maintain the secrecy of
the question is, how do we maintain secrecy? On an election day poll? I didn't want to get it. Yeah. This number is not attached to the New York or North Carolina VR system in any way. It's not identifying as a voter. It is 10 numbers. The first 5 numbers identify the machine that it was gone through. So this is machine 30003. The next one would be 0004. All right. And the last 5 digits on every ballot are completely random. They don't start with 1, and the next one is 2. The first value scanned might be 97654, and the next one might be 23456. Does that make sense? And it remembers which numbers it's used, so it never reuses them in an election. That is right.
It's not the retrievable number.
It will not handle the retrievable, but it is for audit purposes. It is a ballot, there's a number that's fixed after the ballot has been counted on the way into the ballot bin that nobody sees and nobody knows what your number is. Not even. Okay.
Or risk.
How about the rest of the room? Any questions? I mean, probably a little too much vote for them. What about the improvements in software?
The question was, what are the improvements in the software? ERM is no more. All your reporting is done in Electionware. The same software that built the election will also be the same one that reports it. You will also have more control over the screen design of how your Express Vote works. The Express Vote, you notice, looks different than what you're used to. It no longer is one contest per screen. So if you have 20 contests, it's 20 screens. You can now have 3 columns of screens, 2 columns of contests, I meant to say. So your number of screens from 20 might go down to 4. See what I mean? But it'll still print out the exact same ballot. One of the changes in Electionware, the software, is that you now have an image manager where you design how the screens are going to look, what colors you want, things like that, font size. Okay. There's several others, but for the most part, you're going to have a new reporting. You will no longer have ERM. You'll report inside of Electionware. You have the ability to view images and cast vote records, handle all of your write-ins without touching any paper. All the images of the write-ins will be right there in the software for you, and also produce a variety of reports.
The second change, it's gonna manipulate the ballot, or the ballot's actually electronic on the screen. And then it's gonna generate for lack of better say,
Paper ballot.
paper ballot.
This machine right here?
Yeah.
It will produce a printed record, which is now your ballot of exactly who you voted
And
for.
then then the person will put it in that machine,
Yes, sir.
and that'll be the end of it, that'll go into as part of the ballot count in the box.
That's correct. And it also will have a unique serial number printed on it, just like the other paper ballots. And that is why it's only one of the main differences between 200 and 300. Notice how the part, it's inserted on the right rather than the middle. It's for that printer. Yes, ma'am.
How do you certain that the numbers or the barcode on the Express Vote ballot are the same thing that the printed out names are?
Names what? Good. Logic and accuracy testing, pre-election testing, post-election audits. That's the best way to verify. During a post-election audit, every single one of these, you will have a cast vote record inside the software, so you can see, you can find this card, you can find the ballot and the image, and you can also find the report, which tells you how it's tagged. You can pull up every single one of these if you want, and look and make sure that this barcode said Jane Doe, that printed Jane Doe, and tagged with Jane Doe. You can do that for during the pre-election LNA testing. You can do all that verification, and you can also run an audit of the election day ballots to verify they work just the same as the election.
So the machine is always going to do that.
100% of the time. Yep. It'll always take a picture of the front and back of every ballot and tell you exactly how every single ballot is more traditional. What's that? It's all in the USB. And not only that, you can have a second USB, which is an exact copy of the first. So if you don't trust technology, you can leave the second one in the machine under its own lock and key. Figure stuff further. One thing I didn't mention about the 300, in that same back compartment, in the future, there will be a CFast card. It's another memory device that will be installed in there that stays in the machine forever. Which every election, it just has the results on it as well. So you will have 5 different artifacts coming out of every single machine. Ballots, the report tape, stick 1, stick 2, CFast card, and they're all automated against phone number. That answers the question.
The voter also can reinsert the card after it's printed out, and it'll pull up the names from the barcode and verify that that is what they voted for. So it can be put back in the machine once it's printed for verification.
Will there be a ballot, a narrow ballot for the voter insert, or is that machine gonna print out the candidates and then the choice?
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna vote one real quick.
That's the choice.
It'll tell you the name of the contest and who you voted for. It will not list the other choices. It just tells you exactly who you selected. And if you made no selection, it will print no selection made. So do you know all the contests you're eligible to vote for, and in plain English, exactly who you selected?
So if I voted for the governor and I chose Cooper, then that's what's on the ballot.
Yes.
No other candidates on the ballot. I chose Cooper, I chose her and X, Y, Z down the chain, and then I think that feeds into this second machine for county.
Which is the same machine that a voter who got a real live paper ballot and voted it in the vote, they all go to the same place.
But he knows when he takes it from that machine, he knows what he's voting for. That's one of the arguments.
There's only one place to get it tabulated. If the precinct's set up right, it should be pretty clear.
I will, let me print this one out, I'll show it to you. Also, another enhancement that you can expect from the express vote, so this is the card that's printed. I'll hand this back to you and check it out. After I make this point, yes, it says favorite dog breed, Labrador, favorite US beach, blah, blah, blah. Favorite way to spend free time was a vote for two people, make two choices. I voted for cooking, and then I did not make a second selection, so it clearly says no selection made. All right, and then yes, no. I will also point out, anyone see that X right there? X, do the X, right on my finger here. The barcodes that are printed they're in columns of 3, they're in rows of 3. See that, those 3 barcodes? If I made 5 selections, that means there was an empty space there on line number 2. We have started to put an X there anytime, so there is no way somebody could put a sticker on there or something like that. There's nowhere to add another barcode. Yeah, we're getting feedback about this barcode stuff, and I'll tell you what, they're accurate. Yes, they're extremely accurate. This is, I'm just gonna leave it at that. They're extremely accurate. There's a reason. All 3 of my children, my boys, were born in the same room in the same hospital. They would still be there if I didn't have the right barcode on my wrist to take them out. And one of them turned 16 today. Yeah, so he'd be living at the Lakeview Hospital there in Omaha. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that the separate trays in the 950 can be set to sort differently. What are different ways that it can sort?
Some counties really care about overvotes. They want to see all the overvoted ballots. So, and they don't care about write-ins. They'll put the write-ins down here with the regular the regular ballots that have been counted. All the overvotes, they will still count, but they want to put here so that somebody can review them later, or they'll choose to not count them and put them here. It's all up to them. But you have those strange situations, how people can mark paper, you know what I mean? If they don't make good, fill in the oval correctly or whatever. You have a chance to send those ballots to different places. They made too many selections. They
But
made
it doesn't
no
have
selections.
like a barcode reader where it can separate by, say, party. If it's a primary recount, it couldn't separate out all the other ballots. from
No,
them.
but I can tell you in a recount, if you have a hand count recount, and it only matters for Charlotte, District 4, Ward 4 of Charlotte, and that's the only contest you're recounting, you can program the system to say, I'm gonna recount this election. I'm only gonna count that contest. It will, if it's a hand-based recount, it will put all the ballots that contain that here, and all the ballots that don't contain that contest are outstacked. And so it sorts for you.
context.
It sorts by contest if you wanted to. Or if you want to do a machine-based recount, you do exactly what I just said, but tell it to actually count it too. It will ignore.
Recount district where you're flying in.
Kristen and I go with it. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
In order to for example, change that bid from write-ins to overvotes, do you have to do that back in the software and reconfigure the machine? Or can you do that directly?
If you want to change how it sorts for overvotes and stuff like that, let's handle that one first. You set the initial setting in code when you build the election. It could be changed on the screen, the election, if you change it, decide if you want to switch midstream. Okay, so advise that, but the log that you did that, and that it can be changed with a special password. If you want to set up where you're counting just one contest, that is also back in code. Everyone else think about like go to a beach someplace or something like that. What you're going to do is you're going to get a copy of the election, restore the bid back onto the election, go to contest groups, and tell it that you want to isolate just Charlotte Ward 4 and load that election on here.
That's just like doing a
Exactly.
Senator, real quick, if you will, just show.
Welcome back,
I think I was mentioning this a minute ago. For those who have, the auto mark still, run this bell back through here again.
Yes, sir.
And this can be done on any express vote that's programmed for that particular election. We'll see what happens. Now, he can't change it, but let him see what happens once that ballot goes back in. Just if there's any trust issues on the barcodes.
It says you've inserted a marked ballot. You can't make any changes, but here is exactly how this ballot was marked. This doesn't necessarily have to be the machine that made it. You could get 2 or 3 reasonable polling places, and put it in any single one. Remember, they're not connected to each other. They're not connected to the internet. They're islands, basically. They're on an island.
And they're not storing
They votes.
ballot
So, and this is also helpful if you are blind or dyslexic and you want an independent verification. That's what that's there for.
Also very helpful for us.
All you can do is return the card and then, if this is the right thing. Oh, I'm not connected to AC. There you go. All right. You're all good, so I'm generous with your time. Are there any other questions? Thank you. Yes.
Are there any prices or that's in the works?
Prices are submitted to Neil in the state and it's readily available from any one of our salespeople.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm gonna keep it.
Want to make sure we're not saying anything.
Wait, no, we're just taking a break. Taking a break. We have to go watch Bart and then we have to go vote on it.
Move on to the next room.
It's okay. Just talk loud enough so it can pick it up here.
Just talk loud.
Mm-hmm.
Who, me?
Yeah, everybody, anybody.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for reassembling for the continuation of the Buncombe County Board of Elections meeting, Tuesday, August 14th. Thank you for sitting through the demonstration of the ESNS products. We shall now get a demonstration of the products available in part. And with no further ado, I shall pass the baton to the video. There you go.
I'm going to escape here and I am going to attempt to find Sean and team. And can you? Forecast Sean, there he is. Can everybody see Sean? Yes. Okay, great, thank you.
So yeah, bear with us as we walk through the setup of the equipment, and then we'll go into each device. As Don mentioned, this compact lightweight solution. Nothing weighs over 30 pounds. Let's say you need storage space and transport costs. It's just easy to deliver even in a passenger. Extra prices. So we're going to show the setup again with this common platform. As soon as you learn how to set up one device, you know how to set them all up. And it starts here with a plastic power box. So this weighs about 20 pounds and it flashes down 6 inches thin. There are instructions right here for the forward to get the full location, but it's really, really simple. 4 flasks on snap and flasks from the part. 4 that you can put down. And 3 button cables to keep the top swinging around. Swinging over. Keep the box. You can see here in the front, there's a large open door. Push the door. That completes the box and allows the top to lock in there. So it's a steel locking mechanism with steel reinforced hinges. The door overlaps the inside opening, so there's no way that anything can slip into the valve. The very secure box will also be lightweight and transportable. You'll notice inside there is an emergency valve. So this is grip stop nylon that collapses, box collapse. And that is in balance. You have to put it in this slot that keeps the balance separate from balance falling out the door. The other thing you'll notice about the box is from all of the lightings. Once the box is assembled, the device sits on top and goes still within and drop into place. And right inside the door where it's pushed the lever back, then the device. Didn't mention this is maybe closed the box with tampered and sealed. All of the devices open up, sum up in these. Forward to allow these keys here to lock. Forward, don't need to have this access to this. That's where E-Drive. Close, bring that into project. So again, want to reiterate all of the setup is the same. All of the needs of the supply, the paperless keys, anything. So right next to the one we just set up. Each one is one scan where we are talking about a paper-based solution, so we would do a paper route, we would take it to any privacy groups and time that you have access to our computer selections, and then they bring it out to the scan device, taking it to anywhere you take this down. I will show you the coding value that for you. But the instructions do say to completely fill in the process. Just at this point, because I have scan it out, but you notice that it has that overloaded context. Now, one of the things we talked about the top 5 is that we have the best student experience. That's because we designed our system based on the design for democracy principles, which were outlined by the EAC. So that study actually said what is the best method for displaying a ballot on the screen, displaying a paper ballot, and then also for instructional messages to voters and poll workers. Notice that we don't say, contest 3 overvote or something cryptic like that. It is very plain language, easy to understand. Right now, it just says governor, too many choices are marked, this contest will not be counted. It's also alerting the voter that they haven't marked on the backside of the page. That's something you can turn on or off to display that for your voters. And the voter at this point has 2 options. They can pull the ballot and spoil it and be able to new ones correctly mistake, or they always have the ability to count the ballot as is. It's going to rescan that. This time drop it down into the box and the way it's going to request to display it and the voter has completed the voting process at that point. I'll point out a few other things here. Notice the landing lights as we call them here, indicating exactly where the ballot is to be inserted. Again, face up, face down, voter first, header first. One other thing that I'll mention is the thermal printer. This is a really easy to use thermal printer. The way that you load it is just make sure the paper is rolling out from the bottom. It's called a drop load printer. So drop the roll in, close the lid, and it's ready to go. It's really simple and easy. Everything is self-contained inside the unit for delivery. Power cable and extra paper roll can fit in this compartment here. Remember, this key block is just to lock the tablet into place. It's not popping up. I'll pause here and see if there are any questions I can answer about the various scan devices.
This is the point where you can type your questions into the chat section, or if you'd like to raise your hand, I can certainly unmute you and you can ask the question.
One point that I was
Sean, we have a question about what do you get for write-ins?
So at the end of the day, when the polls close, all of the write-in images, so the actual snapshot of what that voter marked on the ballot, take, and you'll see every write-in by contest that was, captured on the screen. As opposed to going through and looking at the individual ballots.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, Sean, I think you can proceed.
One last thing that I'll mention to kind of reiterate what you did mention up front, Dottie. This is a brand new system, a brand new scanner. We did not just take new software and features and bolt them onto old hardware. This scanner was first used in late 2015. Really started seeing use across the country in 2016. And compare that to competitor scanner, which were both of our competitors introduced their scanners in 2007, 2000. So even though you're getting a brand new device, you know, a car with 0 miles on it, you're getting an older model. And we've always had digital scanning. We have a legacy digital scanning in 2005, but we decided it was time to build this brand new scanner so that you've got the most security baked into it and a long run.
Sean, we have 2 questions. Does it tally all of the write-ins?
It does. Yes.
And then Michael Gray of Durham said that the write-ins will only count if the voter checks the box and not seeing the notation on the write-in space. Is that correct?
That's correct. The system will only count the write-in if the box.
Great. Thank you.
So the next device that we're going to talk about is the Verity Touch Writer. This is the accessible ballot marking device for voters with disabilities. Remember, the majority of your voters will probably use a hand marked paper ballot, but this device is available for anyone who wants to use it, and it prints a full ballot that looks just like every other ballot, with the voter selections filled in so that they can get to the scanner to complete the voting process. The way this works is a poll worker will bring the voter to the device, and the poll worker is going to hit ready for use. They're going to enter their code. We recommend you a little bit better code than all ones that we're doing it today. But then the poll worker will activate the ballot, choose that voter's precinct or ballot style, if there are multiple in the location, and then confirm their selections and activate this ballot. Note right now that we do have the ability to mark this as provisional. I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth here. So we're going to activate the ballot. And now this is the point when the poll worker steps away and the voter will continue the process independently of that poll worker. They can use the touchscreen, of course, or navigate through the ballot by turning the move wheel and using the select button. Now, the system has a wide range of displays, audio features, there's multiple languages, of course, that are supported, and the voter will be able to change those settings independently of having forward that for it. So, if this voter needed a large text, large font, high contrast display, the system will walk them through step by step doing that. If the voter is completely blind or visually impaired and is not using the screen at all, there's a point where they can turn the screen off. And all of that will be read to them through the headphones. So the entire ballot will be read through the headphones, so we can adjust the volume and rate of speed. But if this voter just wants to skip straight to voting, they can press that button right there. You'll see a little bit about your ballot, and then you can now begin voting. It's a simple touchscreen interface. Notice that when I do not make a selection, it says skip. As soon as I've made a selection, it changes colors, indicating that you made the selections for that. To do a write-in, we can touch add a write-in. We'll vote for A today. And continue forward. We, of course, can skip contests. Here's a proposition with a lot of room for proposition text, maybe even a scroll bar if you need it. And here is an example of a vote for 2 contests. Notice at the top of the screen, all of those language, screen options, audio options, and help is available for that vote at the time. even though we skipped through that. Once we reach the end of the ballot, the voter will review their choices. You can see this scroll bar here where you can see the choices down below. You can always press the return the ballot button to go back and make changes, or you can touch a specific contest directly, make your change, you realize you did not need to skip that contest, and then review the choices at the end. Once we're happy with our selections, we press print, and we'll say yes, that's my ballot. Here is an example of a ballot that I printed up just a minute ago. If the printer has sat, it'll take a few seconds to warm up, but once it's warmed up, it takes about 10 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds to print the ballot. And you can see this ballot looks exactly like every other ballot that a voter who's using pen and paper would get. And then they can take their ballot to the scanner and insert this in the same way that a voter would mark the ballot by.
Sean, oh, sorry, you're scanning it. Go ahead.
Was there a question on it?
Yes, Sean, the accessible machine prints the entire ballot after selections on demand, or do you insert the blank ballot before making the selections? That's a great question, Carrie. Go ahead, Sean.
Great question. So, it is printing from blank ballot stock. Our ballot stock is a non-proprietary ballot stock. But no, you're just printing onto blank stock, and the entire ballot is being printed. And it looks exactly like the ballot. So the situation that we're trying to combat with the ballot being the same is if you had 100 people come in and vote, and only one person is successful in that polling location, if that ballot was just a summary card, if it had a different looking field, the voter privacy is exactly how it goes. So our ballots have the same look and feel, the same size, and it can be just so it's a true equality of access in that regard. The other thing that I'll mention that Dobby brought up at the beginning is we took the approach of never including groups. So, page number, the title of election, general information that we never include the groups into. I think Twitter's approach is to print out a summary file to the accessible device. And what the voter sees, the selections that they made that were printed on that card, is not what the system is. It's actually tabulated in a series of barcodes at the top of that sheet of paper. And the distrust of electronic voting systems just continues in that regard, because the voter cannot verify because we don't read barcodes. But what is being tabulated is actually what they want to do in the selection. I do want to be clear, we're not insinuating that we change the vote to barcodes, but this is a public perception. We took the approach to say what the voter sees is what we tabulate across all of our solutions.
Great, Sean. Deborah Hooker is asking, how does the blind voter record a record voter, recorded voter votes? Sorry.
Yeah,
So you might want to show the headphones and the volume control.
Right, so the voter who is blind to put on the headphones plug into the ATI controller here, right here at the top, just the standard headphone jack. And then they can even turn off the screens. Screen would be masked, and everything is happening through the headphones by turning the root wheel. Each turn of the wheel would advance the audio and the portion of the ballot to the voter. So, for example, when they come up on a candidate, they would read the candidate name. If that's the candidate they would vote for, they hit the select button. Then it would say you have now selected that to them. And then they turn the report to front to address through the remainder of the ballot. Once the ballot is complete, all of the choices will be read back to them. They print the ballot in the same way. A voter who is blind will be oriented to where the printer is to grab the ballot. And then they will take the ballot to the scanner device where there are raised bridges share accessible for both see and respond to the message.
Sean, you might want to point out on the ATI that there is Braille as well, underneath each of the pieces to, so a voter knows which selection, which wheel they're using to go with print. It's all in Braille.
And you can see the Braille.
We have another quick question. Oh, sorry, Sean. Did you have another point here?
Well, one thing I'll just say is our approach to this was to make it as simple as possible. You'll notice that there's a help button in the middle. That help button is obviously not a requirement for the voters to have a ballot. So really, this is a 2-button device versus I think there's 11 or 13 buttons on the accessible device of our competitors. So it's just a lot more buttons to learn, a lot more cumbersome with our approach. It's turn the wheel.
We have a question from Sean Humphrey. How many pages can it use for a ballot with more contests? Can it use legal paper size?
Yes, great questions. We support 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, 8.5 by 17, and 8.5 by 20 paper. You can see on, they have seen on the ballot we printed that it was a 2-column ballot, 2, 3, or 4-column ballots. So the largest size would be a 4-column, 8.5 by 20 ballot, and that's really good for supporting large elections. Now, our intent is to always keep it on one sheet of paper front and back, but if you have a really big election that needs to span multiple pages, we can support that.
Great, Sean. We have another question from Debbie Zink. Debbie wants to know, does the audio read the list of candidates before the visually impaired voter makes their selection, or do they have to back it up to the beginning of those listed?
It reads the names as you turn the wheel over that name. So once you highlight that portion, it reads that name.
Can we have a question from Susan? And I'm sorry, Susan, I hope I don't butcher your last name, Chapsky. Can the person voting with the hand device wheel backwards as well as forward? And they would like, I think, to hear all the candidates in a race before selecting. Would they hear them all before they're selecting one?
So the first part of the question, yes, you can turn the wheel forwards and backwards and through. But again, I'll reiterate, it reads the name as you basically roll through. So.
Okay, we're coming up on 5 minutes before the end of this, and I know that Sean has one more device to show us, which is print. We might go a little bit over 5 or so minutes since we were letting people in a little bit later. But go ahead, Sean, and I'll let you show the print device.
Sure. So this is the third device, final device that we'll show you during today's session. Again, same suitcase design, same shared components, the way you set it up and get it ready for use is identical as the other. This serves a very different purpose though, and this is an optional item that you can have in your polling location to print ballots on demand as the voter comes in and is checked in and qualified. So what this does is it eliminates the guesswork of how many ballots and it eliminates the waste of ballots and just having to hold those for the retention period before just starting. It's really simple the way it works. You can see on the screen that says ready to issue ballots. We are going to issue a ballot. If there's multiple languages, we will choose the language. Again, just like we did on the touch writer, and choose the voter's precinct or ballot style. We can print up to 99 ballots at a time from this. If you want to do that printing, this is something you have in your office on your desk. It's designed for poll workers in the polling place, but you can also have one in your office as well. Again, notice the option here to mark this ballot as provisional. I believe that's a differentiator about our system. If you select, you're going to mark that ballot as provisional. The provisional voter will then go and mark the ballot at a voting or privacy booth, just like everyone else. But the difference is the scanner will not accept the ballot. So even if that voter wasn't intentionally doing it, they just saw other voters doing that. Scanner, the scanner will reject that ballot and say provisional ballots. And then you will put it into your envelope and follow that procedure, so check out and qualify or dequalify that voter as a provisional voter. So that's a great, check there, so any voter, even if you don't have this device in the polling location, you can use the typewriter to print out a ballot for voters and ensure that there won't be accidents. To complete the process, you just say yes, print the ballot. Again, our printer's gonna need to warm up, but, once it's warmed up and you've got a good flow of voters through the polling place, it takes about 2 to 12 seconds, to print a ballot on it for that voter. The other thing that I'll mention, about this system is that once you buy this system from us, you are not, we're not tracking how many ballots get printed. There are no click charges or click fees for ballots you print. You just are basically buying paper stock. And it's a much more effective, again, efficient and cost-effective way to print ballots for voters at it.
Great, Sean. We have a couple more questions. We have one from Dale, and well, now they're all piling in, and I'm missing Dale's question. How does it account for and track the number of ballots printed?
Great question. There is a running total at the bottom that shows you the number of ballots printed during the election for the lifetime. And then also you can at any time print a ballot count report and a ballots issue right there on the screen, and that will print right here on the thermal printer. So always a visual running total, and you can print reports periodically throughout the day if you need to. Where you know exactly where you were at any snapshot of time, but it will be time based. If this is a good five basic county ballots for printing.
Hard to see, Sean. Unfortunately, we have a little lag in the time. We have another question from Carrie Skellington. How would a county account for ballots if they choose not to use the ballot on demand printing device, but have voters use the accessible device which prints ballots on demand?
It would be the same for tracking ballots from the accessible device. There's the same counters and same reports off of that device as well. And if you have pre-printed ballots, you would just track those from the column that you have in staff for the ballot.
I think that we answered Dale's question already on how does it track and count for the number of ballots printed. I think we've already answered that question. And we also have a last question from Chris Williams. What type of paper does it use? Does it use just regular printing paper? Sean, if you could, we will give you the specs, but Sean will provide you the specs at the moment.
Yeah, so it's a non-proprietary ballot stock. We do sell ballot stock, but you can get a source of different. It's a little bit thicker than standard copy paper. It's 28 pound, 92 grams, 40 paper long grain. But yeah, we give you all those specifications. Wherever it's best.
Thank you, Sean.
We done? Movie's over? You don't have to move. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for sitting through the demonstration. I would like to thank Neil Bedore from the North Carolina State Board of Election staff for helping out with this, for sticking through through this lengthy board meeting with us. Neil, I'm wondering if you have anything that you could share, if you have any insights about this product suite or the previous one that we saw that you'd want to share with the group.
I really can't, say one is better than the other in any aspect, but I will say that, with the Hart counties, we have, well, I think we have right now 93 counties using ES&S equipment, 7 counties using Hart. And all the Hart counties seem to really like using the Hart, but the S&S counties seem to enjoy that equipment as well. Thank you. But I wouldn't say that one is better than the other.
I appreciate that. I also need to take this opportunity to thank a member of our community who is not staff and who's not a board member for coming to attend our meeting in person. Michelle Williams. Thank you for being that person.
Thank you for making the notice available.
No, but we appreciate the interest that our community has in Board of Elections work, and you make the trip down here to Concord is pretty special. I appreciate that. Colleagues, I have started to pass a form around the table. It's a form that we need to execute. And under numbered memo 2021-01, we are following the procedures for reviewing the products that are available to support our elections before we make our recommendations to our county commissioners about their acquisition. And it's all outlined in this numbered memo, and the form that we are charged to complete at the conclusion of this meeting is required by this. So I just wanted to pass that along. Does anyone have any questions about the process, about the equipment, about anything at all? Ms. Brandon.
I wasn't sure from what they were saying, if this ballot on the band machine, is actually handled by poll workers or the voter. And it looks to me like it should be handled by poll worker, but I couldn't tell for sure from what they said.
That was the impression that I got.
Which one?
But that was handled by the poll worker.
But they were also saying you choose a precinct. Does that mean it doesn't choose the precinct based on the address of the voter?
It seemed that in order to use the machine, the poll worker needed to put their hands on the machine to set it up for the voter. The poll worker would step away, and then the voter would execute the transaction. Is that how you guys saw it? I mean,
Well, I don't know the Hart system as well as I should, but that is my impression, that the poll worker will set up the machine, they will get what information they need from the poll worker, set up the machine.
Right.
And then it will produce the correct ballot. In fact, I think they even have a scanner that they use.
And the other one, the express vote that we've been using, when the blank ballot is handed to the voter, there is a header already printed on it that informs the express vote machine exactly which ballot style that voter is supposed to use, and that is based on their address. So the poll worker intervention doesn't need to occur in the same fashion that it does for the machine that we use versus the one that we just saw demonstrated.
So when you say header, you mean a barcode?
Yeah, there's a code at the top. And I understand every single ballot that we use, whether it's the express vote or something that goes to the DS200, DS 850, soon to be 950, is run by barcodes. Now, the barcodes that we've really been focused on recently have been the ones on the express vote. But the simple fact is, on the regular big format ballots, including the one we just saw printed here, the whole edge of that ballot is one big barcode. It just looks different than the kind of barcode you see on a product at the grocery store or something like that.
Well, it's used as a different function though, that's a positional barcode. That position tells you where to look for the.
Right, because certain ballot styles, you know, there's going to be a mark on ballot style 1 that would have nothing on ballot style 2. So that coding around the edge, yeah, it does line things up, but it also informs the machine where to look for marks. So we rely heavily on barcodes to simplify the work that we do. And we've got all this attention because of the format of the express vote. But no matter what you see printed, those barcodes that are really having a whole lot to say about how the tabulation occurs.
This form, was this just saying we were here and we reviewed these machines, it's not saying we're choosing one?
We are choosing.
Step one is just that you've seen it. Step two is where you choose it.
So we've seen the demonstration. And we can attest to that. And then as a board, we need to make a decision.
So I don't think this demonstration gave us enough information to choose.
I will point out that if we thought that the Hart products offered something that we were interested in, we would have to deal with the fact that they are from a totally different suite of election equipment than we currently use. I expect that the integration would be problematic. The reason, I mean, we use ES&S. We're very, very heavily dependent on ES&S. ES&S has worked for us for a good long time. Director Duncan, did you have an observation?
In order to switch to any hard product, we would have to switch our entire system, so it's cost prohibitive.
I was trying to be nice. I was trying to tiptoe you around it. It's what?
We didn't see any information about the cost comparison.
Warranties or any kind.
Right.
The one thing that I saw that I like is the fact that they're actually scanning the ballot with an optical character reader, which means they're scanning what the person looks at and says, yeah, those are the choices I made. And so that's what they're scanning. That's one thing that I like about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I got a lot of questions.
And that's the barcode issue.
Can I just have
I
a
thought we
history on
addressed-
how we got to ES&S?
ES&S?
Begin with. How was that choice?
Well, I've been coming down to the Board of Elections since 2007, and we've been using ES&S the whole time. So I wasn't there when the original acquisition occurred, and I don't have a sense of the history.
But I think that Parker knows.
Well, I can tell you that if you really want to know, the HAVA funds were given to the state. The state chose to use those funds to purchase equipment for the counties. We put out an RFP for voting vendors to come in and demonstrate their machines. But I think we started out with 6 vendors, and by the time it was all through and they saw our requirements, we ended up with 1 vendor, and that was ES&S. They offered 2 different types of machines. Well, the M100 at that time, which is similar to the 200 that you're using now, but they also offered an electronic machine, IVO, that y'all used to have. And so we were with just 1 vendor. When the IVOs were decertified, we put out another RFP, and once again, we started, I think, with 5 vendors, and this time we ended up with 2. And you have now seen both vendors today.
Thank you. That's valuable history. So, colleagues, we have to proceed with this. And I actually think I could look at that form to know what we're proceeding with.
This is the,
But in any case, there is an expectation that we're going to make a determination as to whether or not we want to recommend to the Buncombe County Commission the purchase of 2 ES&S DS-950s. And
Well, Hart didn't seem to have anything at that time.
no, in fact, they don't have a product to compete with the DS-950. Ms. Duncan.
I just want to make a go through the forms and make it clear. So the first part of the form is just saying, hey, we were here and we saw these 2 vendors. So make sure that we do that. And then the second part of the form is where we say, hey, what do we want to recommend? We've already acquired funds for the 950, so we've gone through that process. what we need now is to ask for you. It's not actually the 950 that needs approval, it's the voting. So that's the EDS. Where confusion, that is the thing that it goes to the that wall. That makes sense. So on this form, there is all of the options. There's ESNS 5300, there's 5240, which is what we're on, Unity with our previous system, and then there's okay. So that's the voting. So if we want the 950, we have to upgrade to the new voting system 5300. That's what you would be at.
When you say voting system, 6300, which machine are you talking about?
That's the software that runs them all. That would be. The 950 don't run.
So really, the first ask was needing the new sort, the 950, that's what you guys needed, but in order to get the 950s, we have to go down and approve the 6300 software. So that was our real need, was the store.
Yeah, we have to approve the voting system, but actually our need is the high-speed tech.
And the new voting system is great bonus. It is a very good.
And is that in part of the cost? Is all that goes, it's all one? Okay. And are there, some warranties are there? You know about the link, but asked earlier, I think, things gonna last, and, you know, it's the juice with the squeeze here, and.
It's 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, how long is it?
Goes it. You have three of them talk to it, but we have the 850.
Yeah.
So that, that's a good
History.
And then we also have maintenance.
I remember last, I've been on the board. That's fairly awesome. Unless you're on.
They do, well, maybe I should look for it. As with any, ESNS is a national company, and, in November, everybody, so within the demand.
Go ahead.
We are a larger county, so they respond to us fairly quickly because of our demand. Bonus of being a larger.
Mr. Quinn, I'm interested in getting a motion on the table for a discussion and for, would you, is there a particular motion that you would entertain? I like to make the motion yourself.
Yes, I move that this board approve the ESNS EBS 6.3.0.0 for use in Buncombe County. And I further move that we approve the recommendation of the acquisition of 2 central ballot tabulators, also known as ES 950s.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. What's my vote? Is it 4-0 or is it 4-0 in abstention or?
Right now, there were a couple of things that you and I talked about that I wanted to get some information on. And I really didn't think we were going to vote on this today, because I wanted to find out about the legislative committee and the commission, the election commission that they're talking about approved software.
Ms. Bray, I share with you the interest in pursuing both of them. But I'm also aware of the incredibly tight timeline that we have to meet in order to use this new voting system and the new high-speed pad rooms in the upcoming municipal elections. And actually, that's why we're having a meeting today here, which we did not normally do. It's just to try to meet that time. And so what I would like to suggest is that we proceed with this, with the recommendation for the commission. But at the same time, agree that we are going to pursue both of those questions with ES&S and the state board staff. Does that satisfy? Thank you. Because I share your curiosity about whether getting answers is good for the process.
Questions I have, but those two things would kind of clinch that deal.
Well, let's make sure that we get solid answers to those questions. And with that in mind, would you vote to approve the acquisition? Okay, then we have a 5-0 vote on this. And I'm wondering if there's any more business come before this board at this meeting. Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you, everybody. It's 7:34 p.m.